My name is Katie. I'm 38, and on May 17th, 2024, I drowned in the floodwaters that destroyed my home. I've lived in Texas all my life. I'm a mom to a sweet girl named Lily, who just turned 9, and I work part-time at the local library. My husband, Brandon, is a good man, a high school football coach. Our life was ordinary: Friday night games, Sunday church, TV arguments, and constant money worries. We weren't rich, but we had enough. We had love. I never thought anything like this would happen to me. I was just a mom, a wife, living quietly in a town nobody knows. The rain had fallen for 3 days straight, not just rain, but a wall of water that wouldn't stop. The news called it a once-in-a-generation flood. For us, it was the end of everything. The creek behind our neighborhood, where Lily and I skipped stones in summer, had become a furious river. That morning, the evacuation order came. We scrambled for photo albums, Lily's baby blanket, our papers. The water was at our ankles, then our knees, cold and muddy, smelling of wet earth and fear. Brandon tried to start the truck, but the water rose too fast. "Katie, we have to go now!" he yelled, Lily clinging to his shoulder, crying. I was shoving our cat Patches into his carrier when the water surged. A dark wave smashed through the window, shattering glass. It knocked me down. The shock of the cold, the force, it felt like being hit by a car. I went under, everything blurred, brown water, debris, chaos. I couldn't find up or down. My lungs burned. I kicked, fought, but the current was too strong, like an invisible hand holding me under. All I thought of was Lily, her face, her big blue eyes. God, please just save her. That was my last prayer. Then everything went black. The roaring stopped. The burning stopped. The fear stopped. I felt a soft pull, like a feather caught in a breath. I opened my eyes without knowing I'd closed them. I wasn't in the water anymore. I floated above my house. The roof was barely visible under the churning brown sea. Brandon clung to the truck, holding Lily. He screamed my name, his voice raw. Lily wailed, the sound breaking my heart, but I couldn't feel heartbreak, only peace. Deep, impossible peace. My family was below, suffering, and I was above, calm. I tried to scream to them I was okay, but I had no voice, no body, just awareness. All around was muted gray mist, still and soft. Other lights rose from the water across the town, souls. I knew it instantly. We were the ones who didn't make it. A thought came, clear as a bell. So this is death. No fear, just quiet acceptance. Then the gray mist began to open, not like clouds drifting apart, but like a curtain being slowly drawn back. In the distance, there was a light. It wasn't sunlight or a bulb's glow. It was alive. More than brightness, it was made of love. Pure, overwhelming, unconditional love. It was coming toward me, or maybe I was being pulled to it. All I knew was that I wanted to be there. As I drew closer, the light formed a shape. A man, tall but gentle. He wore a simple robe the color of cream, shimmering with the same radiance surrounding him. His dark, shoulder-length hair framed olive-toned skin, like someone who'd lived under the sun. But his eyes, that's what I'll never forget. They weren't just a color. They were everything. When he looked at me, my whole life passed through me, not as a movie, but as a feeling. Every joy, mistake, secret shame, and quiet kindness. He saw it all, yet there was no judgment, no condemnation, only understanding, only love so deep it felt like it was remaking me, healing every fractured part of my soul. Tears filled eyes I no longer had. To be so fully seen and still so loved was overwhelming. I knew who he was. I didn't need to ask. The name rose in my spirit like a whisper. Jesus. His voice wasn't sound, but warmth blooming inside me, kinder than any voice I'd ever known. "Katie Ann," he said, my name sounding like a song. "Welcome. Peace be with you." I couldn't speak. I just floated, bathed in his presence. All my earthly worries, the mortgage, the car repairs, last week's argument with Brandon, shrunk to nothing. All that mattered was this perfect, consuming love. He smiled, and the light around him grew brighter, not blinding, but comforting like home. I'm dead, aren't I? I managed to think. Your life on earth is over, he said gently, but you are more alive now than you've ever been. He held out his hand. I had no hand to give, but my spirit reached for his. The mist dissolved, and suddenly we stood elsewhere. Not the heaven of golden streets and gates, but a place of absolute clarity, where truth felt solid underfoot. Where are we? I asked. A place of understanding, he said. I have something to show you. Something you must take back. Take back, I asked, confused. But I'm dead. My family thinks I'm gone. Their pain was a faint ache, softened by his peace. Your journey isn't finished, he said, his eyes full of compassion. But first, you must see. You must understand what is happening to the world you came from. So many of my children are lost, distracted, afraid, forgetting how to listen. He turned, and the space before us changed, like a massive window. I saw America, not a map, but real cities, towns, farms, alive with motion. Yet there was a darkness I'd never seen before, not physical, but spiritual. A heavy smog clinging to people, to buildings, to the land itself. It swirled over schools, government buildings, even some churches. What is that? I whispered. It is fear, Jesus said softly, sorrow in his voice. It is division. Pride. The noise of the world drowning out my voice. The enemy has worked hard to build walls between my children. He showed me a vision of a family in their living room. The father scrolled his phone, face blank. The mother watched angry news. The teenage son hid in his room, lost in a violent game. The little girl stared at a tablet teaching her things that twisted what was good and pure. They were under the same roof, but worlds apart, each in a digital cage. The dark smog thickened, feeding on their distraction, anger, and isolation. They are starving for connection, Jesus said. They are starving for love, but they're feeding on poison. They argue over red and blue while their souls turn gray. He paused, his gaze burning into me. This is why the storms are coming, Katie. Not just storms of water, but storms of fire, storms of shaking, storms of hardship. I do not send these to punish. I allow them to break the distractions. I allow the shaking so that what cannot be shaken may remain. The vision shifted. I saw a great fire, not a forest fire, but one sweeping through a city. It didn't burn buildings, but burned away things. Expensive cars melted. Piles of designer clothes turned to ash. Bank vaults lay open, money turning to dust. People weren't running from flames, but from emptiness. Everything they had built their lives on was gone. They have built their houses on sand, Jesus said quietly. They worship idols of wealth, fame, power. I must allow these idols to fall so they will remember the only rock that stands forever. Another vision came, a city in total blackout, not for hours but for weeks. Lights dead, phones dead, internet gone, the silence deafening. At first there was chaos, looting, fights over scraps, the smog thick and suffocating. Then it changed. A neighbor knocked on a door with a can of beans and a flashlight. Strangers huddled by a small fire, sharing stories, singing songs. People lifted their eyes to the stars for the first time in years, faces full of wonder. They prayed, not in cathedrals but in homes, in streets, simple, desperate, real prayers. With each one, tiny pinpricks of light pierced the smog, growing stronger, pushing back the darkness. Do you see? Jesus asked, hope in his voice. The enemy's greatest weapon is noise, distraction. He wants my children too busy, too entertained, too angry to hear my call. But in the coming silence, they will have no choice but to listen. In hardship, they will have no choice but to depend on each other and on me. He looked straight into my soul. This is what's coming to America. A great stripping away, a humbling. For many it will feel like the end of the world, but it is not the end. It is the beginning of a great awakening. I am not judging your nation. I am rescuing it." Then he showed me a memory of my own life. I was a little girl, maybe 7, kneeling by my bed, praying for my sick grandmother. My prayer was simple: "Jesus, please make Grandma better." I watched as Jesus revealed what had happened in the unseen world. My small prayer rose like a golden arrow, striking a dark, shadowy figure looming over my grandmother's hospital bed. The creature shrieked and recoiled as a beam of pure light descended and wrapped around her. The next day, she recovered miraculously. I had never known. I had just thought she got better. "No prayer is too small," Jesus said, his voice ringing with power. "No word spoken in faith is ever wasted. You have no idea the battles you win when you get on your knees. The enemy wants you to believe your prayers bounce off the ceiling. I want you to know they are shaking the foundations of hell." Tears streamed down my face, grief, beauty, hope all at once. All I wanted was to stay with him, in this place of perfect love and perfect truth. The thought of returning to the world of noise and pain and floods was unbearable. "Please," I begged, the words catching in my spirit, "please let me stay. I don't want to go back. It's too hard. I'm tired." Memories rose, my mom's Sunday pancakes, a time of safety and warmth. I just wanted to rest. He looked at me, his eyes tender, melting my resistance. He placed a hand on my shoulder, and it felt like 1,000 warm blankets on a cold night. "My sweet child," he said gently, "your love for your family reflects my love for you. But they need you. Lily needs her mother. Brandon needs his wife. They cannot hear me now, but they will hear you." He paused. "I am sending you back not to a life of ease, but a life of purpose. You will be a light. You will tell them what you've seen. Tell them I love them, that I am not angry, that I am coming. Tell them to prepare their hearts, not with canned goods and bunkers, but with prayer, forgiveness, and love for their neighbor. That is the only preparation that matters. The pain of leaving him was the worst pain I had ever felt, like tearing away from the source of all joy. I sobbed. I don't know if I can do it." "You will not be alone," he promised, voice steady and strong. "I will be with you every step, every word. Now go and do not be afraid." He touched my forehead, and I gasped. First came fire, a fierce, searing fire in my chest. Then came cold, a deep, bone-numbing cold. My body convulsed with a violent cough, and muddy, foul water poured from my lungs. The world crashed back in a storm of sound and light. I heard shouting, "We've got a pulse! We've got a pulse! Clear!" My eyes fluttered open. The ceiling was white. Bright, blinding lights burned my vision. Masked faces hovered over me, their mouths moving, but I couldn't understand. Someone yanked a tube from my throat, raw and agonizing. "Ma'am, can you hear me? Can you tell us your name?" a voice barked. I croaked out, "Katie." I was lying on a cot in a makeshift emergency shelter inside a high school gym. Chaos surrounded me, people crying, shivering under blankets, medics rushing everywhere. A doctor with exhausted eyes bent over me. "Katie," he said, disbelief in his voice, "you were found by a rescue team. No heartbeat, no breath. We worked on you for over 20 minutes. We were about to call it. You were clinically dead." He shook his head slowly. "I've been a doctor 30 years. I've never seen anything like this. It's a miracle." I began to weep, not from pain, but from loss. I had just left the arms of Jesus, and now I was back in this broken, hurting world. The contrast cut deep. My chest ached with the memory of heaven. Brandon and Lily were found hours later in a different shelter. When Brandon saw me, he collapsed to his knees beside my cot, sobbing, gripping my hand like he'd never let go. Lily climbed into my arms, wrapping her small hands around my neck. "I thought you were gone, Mommy," she whispered. "I thought you were gone." And I held her, and I held my husband, and I knew why I had to come back. This is the message he gave me for you, for anyone listening. He sees you in your quiet moments, your struggles, your fears for the future. He is not distant or angry. He is a loving Father trying to reach us. The world will be shaken. Things will happen that scare many, but do not be afraid. It's not punishment, it's rescue. It's a wake-up call. He is stripping away the things we've put our trust in, so we will finally trust Him. If you wonder whether your prayers matter, I saw the truth with my own eyes. They are weapons. They are powerful. So pray. Pray for your family, your neighbors, your country. Turn off the news. Put down your phone. Talk to Him. You don't need fancy words, just a willing heart. He's waiting to listen. Heaven is real. Jesus is alive, and He is coming. Prepare your hearts. That is what matters.